Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Line of Scrimmage DFS Cash Game Show and some GPP and also some DFS ownership. And I'm here with John Laub, the scholar. I'm trying to get this thing to switch because I hardballed it there. Yeah, John Laub. There's John Laub, the scholar. And myself, Emil Kadlec, the old man of fantasy. And how you doing, John?
I'm doing great. Been enjoying my football this afternoon. Built my lineups for the sheet of knowledge that is now up on footballdiehards.com, and ready to put together some ideas for players tomorrow. Can't wait.
Yeah. Excellent. You had a really good week last week. The Dallas character for Seattle and a few other things. It was really, really rock and roll. All right, here we go. Let's go to the first slide.
Well, Emil, all of our viewers know that we like to begin with the sleepers, and I like to begin in general with sleepers who I believe are underpriced and can provide at least 3 times value. So I'm going to start this week at the quarterback position, Drew Lock. And he is pretty interesting at 5,200. You're talking about a starting quarterback in a nice over-under. The game's about 49 right now. It's not at the 50-point threshold, but I'm pretty happy with 49. And last week, I watched every down of that game between the Chargers and Denver. Remember, we had put Justin Herbert on our sleepers list last week, and he had a fantastic week again. And obviously, what Drew Lock and the Broncos did to come from behind in the fourth quarter, win it 31-30. I understand he's not a perfect quarterback and he needs to improve. But at the end of the day, we're looking for fantasy points. And in his last 2 games, he's had 15 and nearly 21 fantasy points. He actually went down $100, Emil. Last week he was 5,300. This week is 5,200. You're talking about a starting quarterback on the road as an underdog who's playing a defense that I question. Now, for the season, the Falcons are the worst defense against opposing quarterbacks. They've surrendered 25.6 points per game. They've given up over 2,500 yards passing and 20 touchdowns. They also have given up 3 rushing touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks.
Oh.
Now, Drew Lock is no Russell Wilson, no Justin Herbert even, but he can score near the goal line. It's not like he's unathletic, so maybe we get a rushing touchdown there. So I looked a little further at Atlanta. They have played a little bit better the last month against opposing quarterbacks. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a little bit more research here, and what I found out is Atlanta has not played as strong of quarterbacks recently. They played Teddy Bridgewater twice, Matthew Stafford, who constantly underachieves, and Kirk Cousins. So the level of competition hasn't been at the level that it was earlier in the year. So where does Drew Lock fall in? That's an interesting question. I do believe that he's good enough here to produce another 20 points on DraftKings. That would give us well over our 3.0 threshold. I like Drew Lock here. If you want to be quarterback position by saving some salary, because there is lots of high-priced players, I have no problems Drew Lock. Now, what I might do, I was thinking a lot about this a lot. I might run him naked. What that means is I don't want to invest necessarily in a Bronco receiver and Drew Lock in case it goes south. But if I run Drew Lock out there naked and he has a bad game for like 13, 15 points, it won't hurt me that badly in a cash game environment, especially if I can hit the home run at the other position. So I don't think I would run Drew Lock in a cash game with a dynamic duo like either Noah Fant or Jerry Jeudy. I would run Drew Lock out there naked because I want to save some money and pay up at the running back and wide receiver positions. Next, DJ Dallas. Hey, Emil, you mentioned it earlier. I put him in the Summa Cum Laude lineup last week. It had 166 points. I was watching till the very end, and it was a slow boat for DJ Dallas get those 22.8 points. At one point, he had like 7 carries for 14 yards and like 2 receptions for 8 yards. But you know what? The touches were there, Emil. And what Schottenheimer does in the red zone, specifically in that 5-yard line and in the green zone, they give the ball to the running backs. They are very nasty when they go Wilson, and then they go DK Metcalf, and they go Tyler Lockett, and they have big receivers, and they spread out the defense. Russell Wilson clearly is calling audibles, and he's giving the ball to his running backs. He also caught a pass I believe it was in the green zone or the red zone. So I'm all in on DJ. I don't think he'll get 22.8, but I'm not afraid of the Bills' defense here. The touches will be there. The question is he going to get the touchdown? If he sneaks in for his 3rd touchdown in 2 weeks, you're going to get your 3 times investment. We're looking at 15 points here, my friend. He had 23 touches last week. Emil, starting running back with 23 touches in the highest over-under game on the board, where a defense has to deal with Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson, and DK Metcalf. When you have the check sheet, when you have the little memo board as a defensive coordinator, the last person on that list is DJ Dallas. Yeah. I got to stop Metcalf. I got to stop Lockett. I got to stop Greg Olsen. I got to stop David Moore. I got to stop Russell Wilson. Oh, DJ Dallas. Darn it. I forgot about him. DJ Dallas is in a good spot here. I like him again, and it's because of the offense and the teammates. Also, there's no reason not to feed him. It looks like Chris Carson's coming back next week. Give the ball to DJ Dallas, my friend. So it's about value and opportunity, and DJ Dallas should have both. And my wide receiver to save money. Now, last week I'm going to discuss it because of whether we had made changes. And that's why I suggest that you go to footballdiehards.com on Sunday mornings. So this, right now, I like this matchup for Marvin Jones against the Vikings. Now, obviously, I'm hoping that Matthew Stafford plays. I much prefer Matthew Stafford to Chase Daniels. I'm going to look at it. I still feel pretty good with Chase Daniels. Everyone, he's a perfect backup. You don't want to go 8, 9, 10 games with Chase Daniels as your quarterback. But in an environment in which they're home, and Chase Daniels knows that he's been prepping, taking snaps, because remember, Matthew Stafford, because of contact tracing, has been in quarantine. So Chase Daniels is the one with the team, working with the first team.
And Stafford is off the COVID list now.
Oh, he is? So that's even better, my friend.
And he just has to pass like everybody else has to pass on Sunday morning. So it looks very good that Stafford's going to play.
Well, there's my thank you. That was going to be my number one thing tomorrow morning. But then I even like Marvin Jones more. Kenny Golladay is not going to play. That we know. Mm-hmm. In the last 2 weeks, Marvin Jones has scored 18.9 and 13 DraftKings points. All year long, we have been gambling against this Minnesota Viking defense. In the last month, the wide receivers, they've given up 48 points per game. That's right, 48 points per game. 530 yards, 35 yards on 42 receptions and 8 touchdowns. Give me Marvin Jones in this game, especially with Matthew Stafford. They're on the road against Minnesota. Sorry, they're on the road, not at home. But I still like it in the dome. You know, I'll take it against the Vikings here. Marvin Jones for 5,100. Let's see, what did he have last week? Last week he had 7 targets. The week before he had 6. Let's say he takes a mild uptick. Let's say he gets 8 or 9 targets. I'll take that all day for 5,100. So there are my scholar sleepers this week. Drew Lock against the Falcons, DJ Dallas against Bills, and Marvin Jones against the Detroit Lions, my friends.
Let me ask you another question. The other wide receiver for Detroit named Marvin Hall, who had a pretty good game last week, and he's a 3,800 salary for DraftKings. You at all interested in him?
I am interested in him. I mean, if you had an opportunity where it was the difference in Marvin Hall gave you a huge benefit at the running back, or maybe you paid up for one of the big receivers, I could pivot off of Marvin Jones and go to Marvin Hall. I just looking 3,800, 7 targets last week. Now, I believe in general Marvin Jones is the better player.
Definitely.
And I have more confidence in a cash game that he's going to return 3 times value. But if you're telling me I can pay up for maybe I get Christian McCaffrey, if I can have Marvin Hall, then I would probably do that, Emil. But like it depends. In context, I still like Jones. But if you're telling me it's a close decision and I can pay up at another position, then I have no problem going Marvin Hall for 3,800, especially with Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford is almost a lock, and you'll know in the morning when they do the testing. But he is off the COVID list and is back in the same perspective of everybody else. Fantastic. Off to the next. Fantastic Four.
All right. Before we move on, I want to do one. I'm going to talk as I get ready here on my keyboard. First thing, last week when Emil and I recorded on Saturday night, I had 2 Raiders in the game. Now, obviously, on Sunday morning when we found out how bad the weather is, and I'll be honest, having played this game for 32 years, I don't worry too much on Friday and Saturday about the weather, unless I hear it's a hurricane. But that's an absurd case. What I do is Sunday morning around 8 o'clock, I start looking at some of the weather. Once I found out that Cleveland was really going to be bad, I did pivot, and it was posted on footballdiehards.com. I took out Derek Carr and Darren Waller, the tight end. I could not risk going with 2 Raiders in inclement weather on the road. So just for any future knowledge, and that's why we have the advantage, I update my lineups on Sunday morning on footballdiehards.com, especially at this time of the year. Right now, I'm not too worried unless I hear the weather's crazy. Like, I live in the Northeast. Let's just say I knew the Patriots were playing tomorrow. Now, they happen to be playing on Monday night. But I knew a blizzard was coming in tomorrow into New England. And living in New England, I would be more likely to make that a factor because I live here. And then I might make a judgment call that night. But I don't live in Cleveland. I don't live in other parts of the country. So I'm going to be much more protective I'm going to be kind of agnostic on the weather until Sunday morning. So tonight, I don't expect there to be, but if there are changes like last week, everyone, always go to footballdiehards.com Sunday morning. And Emil also has a show on Sunday morning, right? You have the show with
Brady,
right?
10 o'clock Eastern time.
Brady. There you go. Do you guys talk about weather on the show? I would assume you do, right?
Definitely, if it's a consideration, we chat about it.
There you go, my friend. So we have it for you, and my lineups are always updated by 9 a.m. on Sunday. So this week, I pivoted off of Derek Carr. Last week, I should say. Because of the weather in Cleveland, it was a wise decision. Carr only had 12.5 points, and I'm looking for more out of my quarterback. But we've said this. Derek Carr, the previous 3 weeks, I had liked him against Cleveland. But the previous 3 weeks against Tampa Bay, 20 points. Kansas City, 28 points. Buffalo, 24.5 points. This week, they're playing the Chargers. We had just mentioned that Drew Lock had over 20 points against the Chargers. And Emil, 40 years watching football, I don't know if I've seen a defense that is more snake bitten than the Los Angeles Chargers, man. They cannot close out a game. I actually am starting to feel bad for Anthony Lynn. I mean, it's like, please. So,
Yeah,
I don't know if the Chargers are going to be able to close out the Raiders, right? I like this matchup. I need to save money because there's some high-priced running backs. My fantastic fourth quarterback tomorrow is Derek Carr, Raiders at the Chargers. I like this matchup. Look, I would have liked this matchup with Kenyan Drake. But now that we have Chase Edmonds, who's clearly the starter, and I know Benjamin, I saw him at Arizona State, but I expect that Chase Edmonds, by far, is going to get the majority of snaps and opportunities in this backfield. Chase Edmonds looks more explosive. Now, that's the eyeball test, right? Emil, when we watch a football game, you watch it and you say, oh my God, why don't they play Chase Edmonds? So the eyeball test tells you that. Then you look at some advanced metrics, and it says Chase Edmonds has been playing better than Kenyan Drake. But Kenyan Drake was getting a significant amount of touches and snaps. He just wasn't doing anything with it. Against Seattle, last we saw him, I believe that was a Sunday night game. Yeah, it was. Remember, we had talked about that late game on the DraftKings slate. Chase Edmonds had 7 catches for 7 targets, 7 receptions, 87 yards. He also had 5 carries for 58 yards. If he gets 12 to 15 carries, he gets targeted 5 times. Let's say he doesn't get 7. Let's say he gets 5. So he's 4 for 5 on the target. He gets 13 carries. I will take that against the Dolphins. I think it's going to be more, but I want to set a good score. He's explosive. He's good in the red zone. And Miami, I think this is a classic letdown game. They just beat the crap out of the Los Angeles Rams. They got punt return. They got defensive touchdown. They were excited about their rookie quarterback, Tua, who actually didn't play that well. But he's a rookie, first game. I'm okay with that. But it's not like Tua went in and lit them off. The Cardinals have had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They know Kenyan Drake is not coming out. And the one way, in my opinion, you attack Miami in the center of the field. They have good quarterbacks. They're weak at the linebacker. You attack Miami in the center of the field. Now, what's interesting is they don't have a good tight end in Arizona. Maybe Larry Fitzgerald, maybe Chase Edmonds. I like Chase Edmonds here a ton against Miami. I'm putting him in the cash game. I know it seems pricey at $6,800, but I thought about it all week. I like the opportunity of 4 of 18 touches with an upside of 23 touches against the defense you can attack in the middle of the field. So I put Chase Edmonds into my cash game lineup for $6,800. Needed to save some money. Go to footballdiehards.com. I've chosen really nice running and wide receivers. But you need to go to footballdiehards.com to see who I put into my lineups. I needed to save some finances here. You notice I got Tyler Lockett. We'll talk about it in a second. So I couldn't take DJ Dallas. I'm not going to go DJ Dallas and Tyler Lockett. So I took Tyler Lockett, fantastic four. So I pivot off of DJ Dallas. I pivoted to Justin Jackson. In the last 3 games, Emil, 17.2, 10.5, and 14.4 DraftKings points. Now, he has not scored a touchdown. So he's getting those points, Emil, on opportunity alone. Touchdowns are fickle. They can come in bunches. I'm just looking for one, Emil. If you add a touchdown to any of these outcomes, he would have 23, 16, and 20 DraftKings points. Justin Jackson's the best back right now in the Chargers backfield. These are the targets, Emil. 6, 6, and 5. He's being targeted on a regular basis. That's unbelievable. Here are the receptions. 5, 5, and 3. Last week, his best game on the ground. 17 attempts for 89 yards rushing, 3 receptions for 53 yards. Justin Jackson is less than DJ Dallas. He's a starting running back who is getting between, let's say, 16 and 21 touches a game with a dynamic young quarterback. I like Justin Jackson here a ton. I'm putting him in my Fantastic Four at 4,900. So this allows you, if you still want to get Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, you decide. But you have now Edmonds and Justin Jackson, and you can still get another huge running back if you want. Last week, Emil, it was DK Metcalf week. I'm not saying it's going to be a huge week, a 56. I'm not going to tell anyone any day of the week that any player is going to get 56. But if I'm the Buffalo Bills, and I just saw the film, can I let DK Metcalf destroy me? Because while I love Lockett and he's an amazing player, when you have physically imposing receivers, they psychologically do something to your secondary. I mean, to hit DK Metcalf, no one wants to hit DK Metcalf.
No doubt.
No quarterback wants to hit DK Metcalf. I've got to put a safety. I might even shade a linebacker over to him. Tre'Davious White should cover DK Metcalf. What does that tell me? I think Tyler Lockett will have more opportunity. So let's take a middle ground of the last 2 games, Emil. Against Arizona, he had 20 targets. He's not going to get 20 again. Last week against San Francisco, he had 5. Okay, let's take 12 targets, Emil. Let's do a nice little 12.
Sounds good.
Right? Oh, I have the price wrong there. He's actually 6,800. I apologize. Typo, everyone. My fault.
6,800 for Lockett, okay?
So 6,800. In comparison, Metcalf is 7,800. I save $1,000 with Tyler Lockett. That $1,000 on a big slate like this means a lot. So I'm going to take Tyler Lockett this week. My job is to help you make decisions. That's what I'm here for. Last week, the decision was DK Metcalf. And I will be honest with all of our viewers, I did not have Tyler Lockett 3 weeks ago against Arizona. But I did have, so I had DK Metcalf the last 2 weeks. It did not pay off against the Cardinals. It did pay off against the, who did they play last week? Oh my God, why am I going blank all of a sudden? Who did against the 49ers? Metcalf went nuts. This week I'm taking Tyler Lockett. That's my decision in the cash game, everyone. So my Fantastic Four tonight: Derek Carr, quarterback; Chase Edmonds, Cardinals, running back; Justin Jackson, Chargers, running back; and Tyler Lockett of the Seahawks. Put that into our optimizer on footballdiehards.com, everyone, and they will optimize for a GPP lineup. Who are the best players to pair with these 4? And there you have the salary. You have these players cost you $24,200, and you have $5,160 remaining per player.
That's a lot of money. That's very good.
And a defense is usually cheap.
Oh, we had a couple quick questions. This may be a good time for him. He says, I have a lineup. It's Robert Ferentz. I have a lineup with Carr in as a GPP. Obviously, you agree with that. He says, I now have Murray in cash, but thinking I might want Wilson.
I like Wilson, and if I'll give in my other lineup, I have Wilson on footballdiehards.com. I have 2 lineups each week. I like Wilson. and I would pair him up with Lockett. I understand making that decision.
And here's another one by Franco 928. I'm not sure if this is GPP or cash. Waller or Gronk?
Ooh, let me look at the price, because price is going to matter on this combo. Waller 5,800. Oh, he's doing the Sunday night slate. Because right, they're playing Sunday night. Let me do this. Yeah. I'm going to change to a Sunday night slate so I can get the pricing. Let me see, why is my computer not working? Here we go. So he's doing a bigger slate Sunday, Monday. Let me see if Gronk's on this one. He is. Okay, so let me go to this slate. Let me take a look. Because anyone who knows, our shows for the main slate on Sunday. Gronk is 4,900. Waller is 5,800. Personally, I would go with Gronk for the savings. Wow, look at these last 3 games. 14.1, 17.2, and 18.8. Now, I get it. But I think when you have Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin on the field, Gronkowski is an afterthought by the new. I know it sounds crazy, but you have to deal with Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. I'm going to go Gronk in that game. I'm going to go Gronk because you saved $900.
Sounds good. All right, let's go off to the next view graph.
All right, let me get back to the lobby. Oh, you know what we have first? We have so many articles to help you. Emil and I are here on Saturday nights to help you out. I give you my Fantastic Four for cash. But if you go to footballdiehards.com, we just have an amazing amount of articles to help you build lineups, including our optimizer. We have the DFS 3 and Out by Bob Harris, the Hall of Famer. Every week I read that. I absolutely love it. If you're looking for matchups, who to take advantage of, who to avoid. Gary Davenport, the shadow knows. It's about cornerbacks who shadow wide receivers. Who's got the good matchups? Who should you stay away from? Justin Lanero, our buddy, DFS, digging in the crates daily. I gave you some sleepers. Justin gives you a bunch of sleepers there to go check out. I referred to it tonight, my DFS sheet of knowledge. I give you top value plays. I give you top end plays, value plays, who to fade, and I give you lineups if you want to put them into a cash game, Summa and Magna Cum Laude lineup. They also kind of help you build your own lineups. See how I'm building lineups. How am I putting them together? Then you can learn from what I've done. And then we have earlier in the week, we have DFS cash game and tournament breakdown articles by Kyle. All of those articles are on footballdiehards.com. Go check them out now. They're all up there printed. And I update my article every Sunday morning by 9 o'clock Eastern time. If I pivot, if I find out weather's bad, I do make changes sometimes from Saturday night to Sunday.
Hope I had my mic off. Fantastic. Off to the final slide.
And every week, Emil and I are going to begin with our contrarian GPP. And what we're trying to help you do is put together a lineup that has low ownership. People are going to stack Seattle and Buffalo tomorrow. We know that. People are going to stack Detroit and Minnesota. We know that. There's probably going to be people who stack Kansas City and Carolina after what Patrick Mahomes did last week. So what I try to do every week is give you an example and a contrarian stack. Now, these are high risk, high return. I'm not guarantee you, I would not put these into cash game lineups, my friend. And this week, when I was looking at the chart, obviously I did a lot of homework with Drew Lock. And it really started to make me think about the other side of the ball. I obviously like this matchup for Julio Jones. That was my absolute first thought. In the last 3 weeks, Julio Jones, 23.7, 17.7, 36.7. I should not have to convince anyone on here how great Julio Jones can be. And then we found out Calvin Ridley, he's not playing tomorrow, it looks like, right, Emil? I believe he's out, right? Don't we have that?
Yeah, the odds are he won't play. Won't be official till tomorrow, but the odds are he's not going to play.
So then I even like Julio Jones against this Broncos secondary even more. So it made me think about Matt Ryan. And Matt Ryan can be frustrating, and he's up and down. But he's a home favorite in a 49 over-under. I like this spot. This is the type of game where Matt Ryan surprises people. I believe he's being overlooked. Emil, what is his GPP ownership? What do we have up on the site?
Well, let's go take a look here. You're talking about which player, Matt Ryan? Let's see what we have. Matt Ryan right now is at 3.7%.
Oh, my God. So last week, remember we talked about Dalvin Cook? Oh, my God, how good. He was a smash play. I had him with DJ Dallas. That's why my lineup did so well there. And we knew Dalvin Cook was going to be under-owned. This week, I like Matt Ryan. Last 3 games, 19, 21.5, 35 DraftKings points, everyone. You're getting a starting quarterback who has 35-point upside at home with 3.5% ownership, Emil?
Yeah, 3.7% for Matt Ryan.
I'll take that any day of the week, my friend. And when I like the contrarian stacks, I have to look for a nice opposite side, meaning I need a running back on the opposing team. It would be rare. I mean, it's possible. And I go all the way back where I used to play Steve Young and Ricky Waters. And I used to play Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas. Because you could play pass-catching backs with a quarterback. I don't recommend it, and it's a rarity. But it is feasible in the right matchup. But this isn't the right matchup. I don't feel good about, as a pass catcher, I don't feel great right now with Todd Gurley or Brian Hill. So I said, you know what? Melvin Gordon is interesting. No one talks about him. I get it. He was in my cash game lineup last week, and he eked out 10.7. It might have been the ugliest 10.7 I've ever suffered through, Emil. 8 carries for 26 yards. 6 receptions for 21 yards. Oh, my God, but I still got 10.7. Wasn't a great day, but at least he did something. Now, the week before he had 14. The week before he had 29. If Philip Lindsay doesn't play tomorrow, and he's questionable right now, I like Melvin Gordon a lot. He is touchdown dependent. I would not play Melvin Gordon with Drew Lock. You can't do it. But you can play Melvin Gordon with Matt Ryan on the other side because Melvin Gordon has 3 touchdown upside. We've seen it with the Chargers. It's possible, folks. And when he scored 29 points, he had 2 rushing touchdowns and 100-yard rushes, and he had 2 catches that game. So I like Melvin Gordon because we're looking for ceiling running backs who have a 30-point upside and are low-owned, and it's only 5,300. So I started with Matt Ryan, Melvin Gordon, and Julio Jones. So I had to say to myself, where do I want to go? And to me, I can't pass up on Jerry Jeudy. The price is right, Abel. It's 47. Last week, he had 10 targets. Now, unfortunately, he wasn't very efficient. He had 4 receptions. So 6 passes fell short or were overthrown or poor throws by Laub. 73 yards on those 4 receptions. I've listened to people in Denver, around Denver, who talk about Jerry Jeudy's open all the time. The quarterbacks aren't finding him. The film grinders say that Jerry Jeudy's playing well. I'm a Bronco fan. You can tell by my blanket. Jerry Jeudy's had opportunity. The Broncos just haven't taken advantage of it. The Falcons stink against opposing wide receivers. I like Jerry Jeudy here. He's 4,700. He does have 20-point upside. If he can get in the end zone, we can get there. I like Jerry Jeudy in this. And then I had to go to the tight end position. I said, who do I want at tight end? I have to choose one of these two tight ends, Noah Fant or Hayden Hurst. I ended up choosing Noah Fant, Emil, because I believe Noah Fant has bigger upside. He had week 1 against Tennessee, 19 points. Week 2 against Pittsburgh. It actually looks pretty amazing now when you think he did this against Pittsburgh. He had 18 points. Last week against the Chargers, he had 11.7. I want tight end who's athletic with upside. That is Noah Fant. So if you're looking for a contrarian lineup, I like the Broncos and the Falcons. I think it'll be under-owned. Emil, do you have any ownership on these players we haven't told? Like, what's Gordon, Jeudy, and Fant? What are their ownership looking like?
Yeah, Jeudy is 5.1%.
That's nice.
Let me find Fant here. He is at 13.6. Fant is the number 2 most owned tight end. So a lot of people are banking on him. That's interesting.
So the good news is I'm not crazy. The bad news, I'm with the masses.
On that particular thing. Now, another thing about Jerry Jeudy we got to think about is Tim Patrick's been out or hurt or whatever, and there's a chance he may play. It's an early game, so we'll know whether Tim Patrick's going to play. He's actually 4,900. He's 200 more than Jerry Jeudy. Yet his ownership percent at this point is 2.3%. Probably because he's in question.
If we know he's playing, and I had questionable, so I kind of glanced over him.
Yep.
But you are correct. If we know Patrick's playing, and he's owned at 2%, because he had a 3-game stretch. Tampa Bay 14, the Jets 26, the Patriots 17. That's a nice pivot for low ownership off of Jeudy.
Yeah. Now, one of the things also to recall, if it comes out an hour, obviously whenever it comes out, you may see a shift in ownership percentage, so it may go up a bit. But right now it's at 2.34.
And what's Gordon at, by the way?
Yeah, let's go look. I don't think I had that picked up here. Let's see. He's at 3.3%.
That's nice, Emil.
Nothing wrong with that.
Starting running back. Hey, who are the big 3 running backs? Just out of curiosity, what's the ownership?
Okay, the top running back owned this week is Delvin Cook, 31.7.
Okay.
Then Josh Jacobs at the Chargers is at 19%.
Interesting.
And the third most owned quarterback is James Conner at 14%.
What's McCaffrey?
McCaffrey is 7.7%.
Oh my God! I think I'd put McCaffrey in this lineup, baby. That's not a.
You think so, huh?
Look, they're going to be playing from behind against the Chiefs. You would think, right, my friend?
Mm-hmm.
And look, so I went here. I've been looking at McCaffrey a lot. I'm going to make a final decision tomorrow. He started out the first 2 weeks of the year. His salary was $10,000.
Yeah.
He's now $8,500. He scored 28.5 and 25 DraftKings points the first 2 weeks of the year. And think about how well Mike Davis has done since Mike Davis has been in the lineup. Ooh.
Well, you got to recognize the fact this is his first week back.
Yes.
And remember, Cook came back. Of course, it was a much shorter time, and everybody was worried about Cook. Now,
and that's why we won.
Yeah. So you have to decide, and that's probably why his ownership is a little lower than you would expect. So you've got to decide whether you want to be one of those that's going to take that chance, because that's a nice salary.
Emil. You're looking for the GPP.
Yep.
If you have Christian McCaffrey under 4, let's say he goes up to 8%.
Yeah.
I think you have to do it.
That's very tempting. That's very tempting. Also, remember, you're going to redo your article tomorrow morning, so everyone who is listening to this can go to the Football Diehards and look at his article and see what the last final results are that he wants to go with for his contrary and also any other article, any other parts of the article.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Put in this contrarian stack with Christian McCaffrey into our GPP, and let's see who we tell you at the other 3 spots. Interesting.
I may have to do that.
I mean, what are the odds that we ever get Christian McCaffrey at that low of a percentage?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. This is the week.
This is the week. I mean, look it, but that's the risk. That's what we're doing in GPP.
You take a risk.
I mean, and look it, we've read, and old man memory, but it's a possibility he might have been able to play last game. But I think the Panthers did the right thing, because weren't they on a Thursday night against Atlanta? I think they played Atlanta last. So they kept him out for an extra 10 days, right? I mean, it makes sense what they did, my friend. Yeah, let's see, Mike Davis here. Yep, they played Atlanta. So they kept Christian McCaffrey out against the Falcons on a Thursday night. They've gotten 10 extra days. Wow.
That's a lot of days to additional rest.
Yeah, I'm selling myself. Oh my God, I gotta do this. Oh my, at that low. I mean, I gotta take the chance. It's what won last week, the GPP winner, I believe, Dalvin. Because it was
wouldn't surprise us, would it?
Yeah, and he was at like 5% or 4% ownership.
Fantastic. All right, we should have a little chalkboard here and be making the marks on this the view graph.
I need a chalkboard right here and start putting up names.
Sounds good. Well, obviously your dollars per player will be going up a bit if you slide in McCaffrey in here.
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely, yes.
So you'd put him in for Melvin Gordon,
right?
Pardon?
The optimizer's perfect because it'll help you build around that.
Sure, absolutely. And you would take Melvin Gordon out for McCaffrey? Is that who you'd pull out of here?
Yeah, I could do that. Leave the other 4, put in McCaffrey for Gordon, and then let the optimizer pick the other players.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't want to put words in your mouth. I was just questioning where that would go.
You could also try to see if you keep Gordon and put McCaffrey in as the 6th guy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's kind of. I would play around with the optimizer and see how it works out, salary cap wise.
Sounds good. All righty.
Can you see my dog there?
Oh yes. How's the dog doing? Looks like he's sleeping tonight.
Yeah, I took her for a walk before the show, so
Smart.
She's pretty happy to. She's happy to chill with Daddy.
I'm surprised you let your dog on your Bronco.
I do have to wash it often, my friend. I will say that. But you know what? I'm a dog person, and it's funny. My family was a dog person, and my mom used to make fun of our neighbor when we were kids, and I don't know, but because she wouldn't let the dog on the furniture and wouldn't let the dog in the house where we had our dog in the house. So I'm a big softie when it comes to dogs. It's basically my 4th kid. I mean, everyone's different, but I grew up in the 70s where dogs were not like they are nowadays. It was a much different world in the 70s. My mom was weird with the dogs everywhere in the house. Like, that was not necessarily the norm back then. Oh, I had friends whose dogs slept in the rain in the doghouse, slept outside under the tree.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the 70s. No, and I remember my friend, I won't say his name, but I remember he had a beautiful dog, and the only place they would let the dog in, and it had to be like a blizzard, 20 degrees, they would let him into like the laundry room. That was it. Otherwise, the dog came in the house. Never.
I have a story that may not go over very well, but I'll say it anyway. When my father passed away, I didn't cry. When my mother passed away, I didn't cry. When my dog passed away, I cried.
Oh, the dogs.
Weird.
That's
a little weird.
I don't. I look at dogs are special. I'm lucky. She's 3.5. My older dog is 10.5. And every once in a while, I think, how much more I got left. I'm going to enjoy the days I got, but it'll break my heart when you get 12 years out of dog. You're very happy.
Yeah,
you had a good dog.
That is.
I'm hoping so. I think she's healthy, so the older one's healthy, but she's just not as active. They slow down. This one's got energy to no end.
Sounds good. Any other input you want to give our audience?
No, please. It's really important because cash game lineup. I can't emphasize it enough. Things change on Sunday. Especially COVID era. We might have a player on the Fantastic Four could test positive tomorrow, right? I mean, we've heard about the Raiders. They got fined all week. There's a chance Derek Carr could get test positive. I hope not. But, so always you have to go to the football diehards to make sure. And I do my last check, Emil, at about 12:45. I'm working on my lineups all morning, walk the dogs around 11. From 1, I'm at the computer making sure everyone's in the lineup.
And typically the COVID stuff happens earlier, which is good. So, football diaries will let you know all that stuff.
Yes, I haven't had one, last-minute COVID takeout. One guy where I got it, And I will say, when we were on the phone, when we were on our show last week, we had mentioned DJ Dallas, and I put him in the lineup. Mm-hmm. But remember, I had said I had a pivot play. If Chris was in the game, I was going to pivot to Bourne, the wide receiver on the 49ers. Mm-hmm. So if you do have remember, we have a late game swap. And if you're taking that risk like I did with DJ Dallas, now about 3 o'clock, I found out DJ Dallas was starting. I was good with it. But I had in the back of my mind a pivot play. If for some reason Chris Carson was playing or Carlos Hyde last week, I was going to go to Bourne at wide receiver because I had put DJ Dallas in the flex position. So that's how you have to play this game. You have to be ready to make changes. But I would never have done that if I didn't have a pivot play late.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Well, fantastic. Great show. I love it. I can't wait to get my lineups in. I think I'll have time tonight and tomorrow to do those. I missed last week, my first week in several weeks. So I'm excited about trying a few lineups here with my big $1 bets. I may get $5 in this weekend if I'm really hitting it. All right. Thanks, John.
You're welcome. Hey, good luck.